Hi there, this is Srikanth Dasari. So, in this lesson, we are going to learn about the primitive data types in Java programming language. Okay, so first let me launch the IDE. So, as we know that we are using NetBeans 8.0, which always takes a moment to load. Okay, so first let us create a new project here. So, file new project, and under the Java application, let's say the name of our project as primitive data types here. Okay, so whatever you wanted, and let's click finish. So that means take the privilege of creating a project. Okay, so and it adds all the source packages and package called primitive data types, and it also adds a .java file here with the class name same as the file name here. Okay, so first let me get rid of all these comments which NetBeans gives us by default to make our code look better. Clean and blank .java template here. Okay, so there are 8 types of primitive data types in Java. So they are as follows. So let me write them in a comment here. Okay, so the first one is byte, second one is short, third one is int, fourth one is long, so fifth one is char. Okay, and sixth one is float, and seventh one is double, and eighth one is boolean. Okay, so these are the 8 primitive data types in Java programming language. Okay, so what is a data type? So data type is the one which specifies the type of the variable. Okay, so you are going to define. Okay, in the last lesson we have seen something like this. In the last couple of lessons while studying about the variables, we have explicitly mentioned the type of the data type before defining a variable here. Okay, so if you want to take an integer variable, so you need to do something. The syntax goes like this. First one here, the int keyword specifies that int is this my int variable falls under the category of integer data type here. Okay, so that is the importance of using a data type while defining a variable here. Okay, so it is very essential since Java is a statically typed or a strictly typed programming language. So whenever you are defining a variable, it's mandatory to specify the type of the variable before the name of the variable here. Okay, so first let us look into each and every primitive data type in detail. So first let us define a variable for byte data type here. Okay, so to define a variable of type byte, the syntax goes like this. We have to first make use of this byte keyword which specifies that the variable is going to be of type byte here, and let's have a variable name my byte. Let's say something like this, my byte. Okay, so this tells the compiler that you have defined a variable of type byte and the name of the variable is my byte here. Okay, so the byte let's write a couple of things about the my byte data type, the byte data type here. So the byte data type occupies byte data type occupies 1 byte in memory. So byte data type occupies 1 byte in memory. So and the range of byte goes like this. So the range of byte is the value, a set of values specified set of values specified for each and every primitive data type. Okay, so whatever the programmer wanted to use or assign some values should fall within that range here. Okay, so if the programmer or the user skips out of that range, and that might lead to an error. Okay, so range of byte goes like this, minus 128 to 127 here. Okay, so this is the range of byte data type here. Okay, so if you want to assign some value into your so my byte variable, so you can do something like this. You can do at the time of definition, or else you can do separately. So my byte is equal to, so let's say some 100 here. Okay, so in the same way, if you try to do something like this, my byte is equal to some 2000, So this leads to an error here. Okay, so if you observe, we have this ugly red underscore, sorry, underline, which is mentioned here. Okay, so by default, so if the user skips out of the range of, so if the user goes out beyond the range of the byte specified byte value, so this might lead to an error. Okay, so that's the reason. So by default, so whatever the value you are trying to assign to your mybyte data type, which is a type byte here, so if it crosses the range, then this is considered as an integer here. So that's the reason. So it's saying the error as incompatible type here. Okay, so if it's scored out of the range, it's considered as integer, and then the compiler understands that the programmer is trying to convert an integer type, which is a higher type than byte, to a byte type here. Okay, so then the compiler thinks that there might be a loss of data. So since int is a higher range of values, which can accept higher range of values, and if you assign that higher range values into a lower type, so then there might be a loss of data. Okay, so all these things we will study in the subsequent chapters when we study about typecasting here. Okay, so that's not allowed in Java. So whenever you want to assign some value, you need to do it within that range here. Okay, so the range of byte is specified. The range of byte is specified as minus 128 to 127 based on this mathematical expression. So which goes something like this here. Okay, so since we have learned that the number of bits, okay, so 1 byte is equal to, so you can take it like this, 1 byte is equal to 8, so 8 bits here. Okay, so 1 byte is equal to 8 bits. This is a basic mathematical thing. So based on this, so minus 2 power, so based on this mathematical expression, so they have derived that range for byte here. Okay, so minus 2 power n minus 1 to 2 power, I am using the cap symbol to represent the power here, 2 power n minus 1 minus 1 here. Okay, so here n is, so here n is number of bits. Okay, so here n is, so here n is number of bits here. Okay, so n is considered as number of bits. So if you apply so here the byte occupies 1 byte, which is 8 bits. So if you substitute those values within your range here, so you get exactly this range, this possible range here. Okay, so minus 2 power n minus 1, so minus 2 power 7, which is minus 128 here. Okay, so again minus 2 power 2 power 8 minus 1, 2 power 7 minus 1. Okay, so 128 minus 1 is 127 here. Okay, so with that you can obtain the range of the byte here. Okay, so next let us define a variable for integer here. Okay, so let's say, so int so let's write some data here. So int occupies, sorry, not int, it's after the byte we have short here. Okay, the short occupies, so 2 bytes in memory. Okay, the short occupies 2 bytes in memory. So based on that, the range of short derived from that mathematical expression which we have seen above is going to be like this. The range of short. Okay, so range of short is equal to the range of short is minus 32,768 to 32,767. Okay, so if you want to create a short variable, so syntax goes like this. We need to make use of this short keyword, and short my short is equal to, let's say, some 2000. It's perfectly valid. Okay, so it falls within the range of your short variable here. Okay, so again, if you might get doubt, so how did we obtain this range for the short? So if you substitute your values in the above formula, Since short occupies 2 bytes, which means, let's write that in comment also. So which means 16 bits here. Okay, so 16 bits. So if you 2 bytes means 1 byte means 8 bits, 2 bytes means 16 bits. So if you substitute the same so the n value within this mathematical expression, so you obtain the range for your short type here. Okay, so this is perfectly valid. So let's output the byte value, what we have seen in the previous example, using the system.out.println statement. System.out.println the byte value, or else let's say, so all these messages are just for understanding purpose. The value of my byte, the value of my byte is equal to, with the concatenation operator, let's take the variable name here. Okay, so if you run this small piece of program, so you get whatever the byte value you have specified, it's 100 here. Okay, so in that way, the next we have taken a variable for short. So we have learned a couple of things about so what is short, and okay, short occupies 2 bytes in memory, and its range goes something like this here. Okay, so in the same way you can make use of the system.out.println statement. Okay, system.out.println. Okay, and you can just print it out the value here. Okay, the value of, so the value of so my short is equal to, using the concatenation operator, so I'm just printing out whatever the value we have stored inside our my short here. Okay, so run your program, you get the value exactly here. Okay, my short is equal to 2000. So in the same way so next we have the integer here. Okay, so int data type, so int data type occupies 4 bytes in memory. So okay, so 4 bytes means we have to expect a wider range here. Okay, so the range of integer, so the range of integer is, if you excuse me, so as a normal typical human being, so I can't remember that huge range of values which was given by the -2 power 31 and all, and so on and so forth. So I'm taking the help of internet. So Google is our friend. The range of int in Java, so if you type it, scroll a bit down, so you get this website, wonderful website, cafelight.org. Okay, so if you go into that, you get the exact range of the integer here. Okay, so it's roughly -2 billion to +2 billion here. Okay, so that's the population of combined both India and China. So later when you want to write a program with calculation of population, so you can make use of this int data here. Okay, so we have studied what is how many bytes the int occupies in memory, and that's in its range. Let's create a variable for int here. Okay, so the int, so typically you can have a variable as we have seen for other variables here. Okay, so if you want to assign some value, so my int so is equal to, so you can happily assign this huge value here. Okay, so nothing, so but it says expected semicolon. My goodness, I am just copying the exact value with commas here, so which were not allowed in Java. So okay, so I have taken a variable for my int and just I have assigned this max value of integer. Okay, so again making use of this system.out.println, system.out.println, let me print the value of int exactly, system.out.println. Okay, the value of int, or else let's say the value of my int is equal to plus and my int here. Okay, so run your program, so you get the huge maximum value which can be stored in a typical integer variable. Okay, so in the same way next we have long here. Okay, so the long, So occupies the long data type, the long primitive data type in Java occupies data type in Java. Let me go to full screen here. So long primitive data type in Java. So occupies 8 bytes. Okay. So long occupies 8 bytes in memory. Okay. So the range of long data type will be a very huge number. Okay. The range of long data type is, so as a typical normal human being, so it's impossible to remember that kind of huge numbers. Again, I'm taking the help of Google. So we have a website called cafeworld.org/courses. So if you go into that and you have the range specified this huge number here. Okay. So if you take some time around and you can calculate that huge number. Okay. So if you want to create a variable for long, let's have a long mylong. Okay. So long and mylong. So if you want to assign some value to your mylong variable, so you can do something like this. Okay, let's say mylong only. Okay. So if you want to assign some huge value to your long variable, so you can just copy that huge value. So it's having the capacity to store only the long data type has the capacity to store this huge values here. Okay, which is very essential for when you are performing some scientific calculations. But here we have a problem here. Okay, so even though if you have defined a variable of type long and you are trying to assign the maximum value, so it's not taking and it's showing this ugly underline statement here. Okay, so this is because so by default the plain integer values are considered of type int here. Okay, so that's the reason it's thinking that so if here you are trying to assign integer value to a long data type here. Okay, so for that reason it's thinking that so by default so by default all the integer types, all the integer primitive types are defined are considered as ints here. Okay, so you need to explicitly mention that your value is long with the help of the suffix capital L here. Okay, so if you do something like this, the compiler understands that the programmer is trying to assign the exact value of long type into his long variable here. Okay, so now if you run this, let's make use of this system.out.println statement. Okay, to print it out in the output screen here, system.out.println. Okay, the value of so mylong is equal to, let's have this concatenation operator and let's say so mylong here. Okay, so if you run your program, so you get the exact this huge value which is able to store inside the long type here. Okay, so in the same way so let's continue our studies for the char data type here. Okay, so next primitive data type is char data type. So char data type so in Java, so occupies the char data type in Java occupies 2 bytes of memory. 2 bytes of memory. Okay, so the range of char data type char is so 0 to 65,535 here. Okay, so 0 to 65,535. So if you have any doubt, you can check it out in the cafeworld.org website here. 65,535. Okay, so now the only difference between the char and int is that the char data type is capable of holding characters. Okay, so string literals, it's a section where the character is might be anything. Okay, it can be a digit or an alphabet or a special symbol. So all the Unicode characters supported by the Java programming language can be handled by this char primitive data type. Okay, so let's create a variable for char here. So char mychar, and let's assign some value. So mychar is equal to, so let's say some dollar here. Okay, so special symbol dollar. So with the help of our system dot out.println, so println, so let me print it out the value of my cat here. Okay, so let's say the value of my cat, so is equal to, so concatenation operator, 1 second. So the help of concatenation operator, let's say my cat. Okay, so now if you run your small program, so you get your dollar display. Okay, in the same way, so all the Unicode characters in Java are can be defined or can be assigned to a character data type. So if you observe here, so whenever you are using the character data type to store your character values, so you need to explicitly mention the single quotations here, which is very essential. Then only the compiler understands that the programmer is trying to assign a character value to a character variable here. Okay, so let's continue our studies with the next data type, which is float. So the float and double, so float and double are the two type of variables or data types which are having the capability of holding the fraction part or decimal values here. Okay, so so until now we have seen only integers like int, short, byte, long, and char, integer primitive data types, in which all these types fall under. So here we have float and double, which are used to store the rational values or the decimal values here. Okay, so typically if you want to define, the float occupies 4 bytes in memory. So the float occupies 4 bytes of memory in Java. Okay, so again the range of float, so as a typical normal human being, so it's very difficult to remember that huge floating point numbers. So again I'm taking the help of the internet, and here it's the range of the float here. Okay, so according to the IEEE standards and etc, it's given that the range of the float goes something like this here. Okay, so the only significance of using the float data type is that it can handle the not only the integers but also the fraction part, okay, the decimal values. So let me create a variable for my float, okay, and assign some value to it. Let me say that 3.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 here. Okay, so here so we have a problem here. Okay, so again this problem arises here because all the floating point values, whether it's a float or double, by default they are considered as double here. Okay, so again the compiler gets confused and it thinks that this variable is of type double, and when you are assigning the double to a float, and the compiler thinks that there might be a loss of data here. Okay, so since the double is has a more higher range and higher precision than floating point values, so here in order to tackle this problem you need to explicitly mention suffix your float values to mention that it's a float value with f here. Okay, I'm sorry, suffix with f here. Okay, so that tackles the problem, and the compiler understands that there is no loss of data. We are trying to assign a floating point value to a float variable here. Okay, so again let me take the help of the system.out.println statement, and let's print out the value of my float, or let's say the value of my float is equal to so my float here. Okay, so I've run a small program, so you get the exact value of float here. Okay, so in the same way we have the double data type. So double is a bit different when coming to float. So the one thing is double occupies, so the double occupies 8 bytes in memory. So double data type occupies 8 bytes in memory. Again the range of double is a very huge than float. The range of double so is very huge, and again I'm taking the help of the internet to display the range of double here. Okay, so I'm just copying the value and just pasting here. So if you observe, there is a huge difference between the ranges of double float and double. It's always a good practice. So whenever you want to have whenever you want to have a floating point constant in your program, or if you are trying to do some calculations which were involved in floating point values, it's always a good practice to take a double here. Okay, so defining a double variables, the syntax goes like this with the help of the double keyword. And let's have a variable, so my double. Okay, so double my double, and let's say like some whatever the different 3.1 3.1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9. Okay, so whatever the value you can assign to your double variable, a floating point variable which consists of an integer part and a fraction part here. Okay, so whole difference is that the double has a higher range and higher precision, and it's always a good practice to use double variable instead of float whenever you are involved in scientific calculations which involve some floating point values here. Okay, so again I'm making use of the system dot out dot print ln statement to just print it out the value of my double, so is equal to so my double here. Okay, so if you run your program, so you get the exact double value which you have stored inside the my double variable here. Okay, so in the same way we have our so the last primitive data type, so which is boolean. So boolean is a special kind of data type. Okay, so boolean so has only two values. Okay, so boolean is only two values, which is boolean has only so two values, so which are either true or false. Okay, whether true or false. Okay, so in order to define a boolean variable in Java, so you need to make use of this boolean keyword and boolean bool. Okay, so I have so now if you we need to assign some value. So let me say that true here. Okay, so I have assigned a value true to the boolean. So if you make use of the system dot out dot println statement to print out the boolean value here. Okay, the boolean value, the boolean so value of bool is equal to the boolean value of bool is equal to so plus bool using the help of concatenation operator. I am just using the variable name here. So if you run your application, this one, so it gets displays true here. Okay, so in the same way so again you can suppress that value. Again you can take the same bool variable, and if you say false, okay, so if you make use of the system.out.println statement once again here, again if you save and run your small program, so you get false here. Okay, so it takes not only in the case of this boolean not only in this case of this boolean primitive data type, so in whatever the data type, it takes the most recent value, it considers only the most recent value, the most recent instance of the value which is stored inside the data type here. Okay, so here we have studied about the different types of data types, primitive data types in Java. So there are to summarize once again, so first let me change the size of font such that it fits exactly, the whole row fits in a one instance without moving up and down here. Okay, let me go to full screen. So here we have studied about the various types of primitive data types in Java programming language here. Okay, so primitive data types in Java programming language are a total 8 primitive data types. The first one is byte, short, int, long, char, float, double, and boolean here. Okay, So the first five fall under the category of integer types. Okay. So the second two fall under the category of floating point types, it's float and double, and the last one is boolean here. Okay. So the byte occupies one byte in memory, which through that we have the range as -128 to -127. So in the same way, we have a short data type. So the short occupies 2 bytes in memory. Okay. So for that reason, we have this -32,768 to 32,767. So as the range of your short data type here. So in the same way, we have integer data type, which occupies 4 bytes in memory, and it has, so as based on the size it occupies and the range, we have slowly studying each and every data type. Okay, so the byte is the short occupies the more memory, and it has a more wider range than the byte data type. Okay, in the same way, the int occupies the more number of bytes in memory, and it has a wider range than short. Okay, so wherever the necessary, you need to use that kind of in that kind of situation, you need to use that kind of data type. Okay, so if you move to long, which has a wider range than integer, which occupies 8 bytes in memory. So in the same way, we have a character data type in Java. So the character data type occupies 2 bytes in memory, and it has typically the range of 0 to 65,535. So all the Unicode characters were allowed to use in Java programming language to store inside a character data type. Okay, so in the same way, we have two floating point data types, which is float and double. So the float occupies the range, lesser range when compared to double. So as we have learned that it's always a good practice whenever you are doing some scientific calculations or you need to use some floating point values, you always stick to double data type here. Okay, so the boolean is a kind of primitive data type in Java, which is either true or false. Okay, so if you assign a true value, it says that you made a boolean, set the boolean variable. Here we have taken a bool to true. Okay, so again, if you run this program, so you get all the values whichever we have displayed using our system.out.println statement. Okay, so this is the basic stuff about the primitive data types in Java programming language. So see you in the next lesson. Goodbye.